Hey guys, so welcome to my day 2 of my Shadow Priest 0 to Hero. This is something that I'm doing pretty much once a week on my channel, just to, on my stream, and then I'm chopping up the VOD and I'm throwing that up on YouTube for you to watch at your own leisure. But this is where we're at. This is day 2. This is the second time I'm playing this character since it's level 60. You can see here I'm 190 item level right now. You can see all kind of the rough area of how my gear is looking. Now, I didn't complete a Mythic Plus dungeon last week at all, so I had no weekly loot to open, which was a real bummer. But last week was like a big 10-hour session on this character, just getting it up to max level and everything ready to go. So I didn't end up getting to do a Mythic Plus, which is a shame, but not the end of the world. And now I'm in a situation where I'm 191 item level. It's a fresh week. It's Wednesday. The affixes are like Fortified, Sanguine, and Grievous. So it's a good solid week now for me to be playing this character and seeing what I can do on it. Not that affixes really matter in those lower keys anyway. But for a reminder for everyone on how this challenge works is I'm not allowed any... I'm trying to hit 2.5k IO. I think that's the point that is comfortable to settle on. That's pretty much going to be a plus 20 key. Pretty much most keys will be a plus 20. Some might be a little bit higher. Some might be a little bit lower. So that's on average across both weeks, Fortified and Tyrannical, going to be the case. So going to take some time to get there, I think. Going to take a couple weeks worth at least. And so I'm not allowed any radar IO attachment to my main to make sure that I'm doing this completely, neutral, completely pugged and everything, and without any additional help. And I'm also not researching the spec. I'm not researching any of the guides, any of the guide writing or anything like that. And then lastly, I'm not allowed to send over any materials and resources from my main, just to kind of keep it as streamlined as possible. So that's kind of the setting the scene of where this challenge is at and what I'm trying to do with it. At the end of week 1, we'd managed to do a couple heroic dungeons, I think. Managed to do a few normal dungeons and stuff. Managed to get a little bit of gear, and even did a couple mythic zeros, or even a mythic zero, and got a couple... I think I got 4 pieces of loot from one dungeon, or maybe that's what happens today. I can't quite remember. Loot's just coming at me thick and fast, so we'll see. But that's kind of where we got to. Got my Covenant up to level 80, more or less, and settled on Necrolord as my Covenant. Decided that's probably the best one. Decided that there are maybe 2 different Mythic Plus builds. You can either go Misery, Psychic Link, or you can go Searing Nightmare. And I figured those are the 2 different styles. I imagine Psychic Link and Misery is probably for more single target dungeon style, Workshop or a Upper Karazhan, something like that. Compared to the general AoE Searing Nightmare playstyle of Shadow Priest. So that's where I'm at with that. I decided to start off today, the first day of day 2, or the first bit of day 2, going and doing a world boss, going and hitting the world bosses. Now, I was also pretty eager, and I was like, oh, I also want to be doing some dungeons as well, because it's 249 loot, or 246, something like that, from heroic dungeons as well. So I was like, oh my god, heroics are going to be so worthwhile to go and do if I can get into those, because I'm probably going to struggle to get into Mythic Zeros. At the same time, I'm only really playing this character maybe 2 to 3 hours a week, period. So I can't really dilly-dally. It's this week where you want 4 Mythic dungeons completed, and you get a 291 armor piece. So I was like, right, well, I definitely have to do my 4 Mythic Zeros as well, at least, or, some Mythic Plus, whatever I end up getting. But I got to do at least 4 of those, so I'm aware that the clock is ticking if I'm going to fit all of those in, plus any of the additional stuff I want to do, Zereth Mortis, any Torghast, anything like that. But so far, my main focus has just been item level, item level, item level. Legendary isn't really going to affect me that much. TSS not going to be okay, but probably not going to affect me that much, because I don't want to put it on low item level gear, so I need to hold off on that. Plus, I don't have the Cosmic Flux. There's a lot of these resources that I'm lagging behind on, and I'm like, right, I'm not really worried about doing, that stuff until I get some item level. Now, I am going to skip ahead a little bit here and try and get into this heroic dungeon and see when it pops for us. Yeah, there we go. So I end up waiting maybe a good 5 minutes or so, and then we jump into this heroic dungeon here. We jump into Mists. And So far, it's kind of a good start. I'm actually able to do a decent amount of damage in some of these heroic dungeons. And with Searing Nightmare, it's actually some pretty decent numbers. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm not beating these guys necessarily, but these guys outweigh me in item level by like 50 item levels. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with how this is going. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so I'm aware that I've got a couple hours a week to do all of this content, and I'm trying to think of the best way to do it. Now, the way I'm thinking is Torghast is going to be something where I'm probably going to have to 1 week just devote the whole week to just running Torghast for 3 hours, right? But in order to do that, I need the item level. It's going to be more time efficient to get item level now and then get my legendary later, because it just is. Plus, it'll give me time to build up resources. It'll give me time to build up gold so I can actually afford these things. I haven't enchanted any of my gear. I haven't done anything like that at all. So I'm really lagging behind on those periphery things, those additional things. But right now, my main focus is just running through dungeons and getting a bunch of gear. So I jump into this heroic dungeon. I'm managing to, you know, I'm still warming up a little bit, trying to remind myself, like, oh man, how do I actually play this spec in Mythic Plus again? What am I trying to do? This guy leaps me, so I leap him. Thank you. And always a bit of fun playing with Priest now, actually. I really like leap. It's been such a fun meme tool, especially when people in my group try and mess around with me. I'm like, all right, dude, well, I'm just going to leave it faith you every chance I get now. Enjoy. But yeah, so jumping into these dungeons, kind of reminding myself how I want to play these things, kind of reminding myself on what to do, and getting that muscle memory back. The way I've kind of, and like this might be an interesting thing to talk about, is the way I've laid out my bars, right, is consistent across every single character. And this is something that I want to talk about, is when you're making a new character, if you have to remember not only the new abilities, what they all do, what they look like, what they're called, and then also get used to where they are on your keyboard, it's really time consuming and it's going to cause you to trip up a lot. However, what I do, and this is probably what a lot of people try, well, you know, a lot of like the higher end people probably do. I don't know what, you know, the average player tries to do. But I remember when I used to play when I was younger, and like I didn't have a consistent way of doing my bars. I would just kind of throw things on my bars dependent on each character. But it's not a great way of doing it. You want consistency because it makes your learning curve way like less, right? And it makes it easier for you to just kind of pick up a character and get ready to play. And when you see something that needs kicking, you can just immediately do that because you already know where that button is supposed to be. So my R key is always going to be my kick. My T and my Y buttons are always going to be like utility, like a stun and like a stun or like typhoon, things like that. Vortex, anything like that is always going to be my T and my Y buttons. They're quite easy to hit and see the utility there. Then I have like shift. And then that button next to one that nobody ever knows what it's called except for that one nerd kid in your Discord server. Then Shift T. These are all like, oh, these are both like very, normally they're like trinkets or healthstones or like additional buttons. In this case, Shadow Priest actually has quite a lot of buttons. So I've actually just ended up putting PI and my Shadow Fiend on it, my Mindbender on it. Which it seems okay. Like they're kind of these additional buttons that you're not really going to be pressing constantly in your rotation, but you're going to line them up with things. So it kind of makes sense for me. It's kind of like my cooldown area location in some ways. But my actual, like where I put my offensive cooldowns is F1, F2, and X. Any of these along here will be my offensive cooldowns. Now in this case, X is just like my Mind Flay, which is fine. But then F3 is always going to be my racial as well. F3 is always my racial. What else? Then I just line up like my core rotation. 1 to 6 is normally how long it is. And then 7 can be like an additional button. Depending on what, you know, how many buttons the spec has. If you're something like Demon Hunter, you probably have fewer buttons. Shadow Priest seems to have quite a few buttons. Then I put my defensives on 8, 9, and 0. and I put hellstones on either 0 or dash. And I know that that sounds absolutely monstrously outrageous, and it kind of is. It's something that I'm looking to change going into Dragonflight, something that I want to switch up and not be doing, like, I want to have a quicker way to hit my defenses. Now, I can hit my defensive every time. Not even 9 times out of 10. Like, I can slam my defensive every time, and I can nail that button, which is good, because a lot of people go, oh, I can't even reach 9 on my keyboard. How do you do that? I can hit it every time. The problem is that there's a delay, right? It takes time before you can actually slam that button. It's not immediate, like it is with, you know, buttons closer to your WASD where I rest my hand. So yeah, I want to kind of switch that up. There have been times when I've died and I've like hit my defensive button, but it's like not registered yet. And it's like, oh, if I had that even just milliseconds, if I'd hit that milliseconds earlier, I would have lived here. And sometimes that can make all the difference. And a lot of the time, if you die in Mythic Plus, it will put you on tilt, because you know that your teammates are going, oh my god, this guy died. And so it puts you on tilt because they're probably on tilt, and then it's just not nice. So anytime you can defend yourself from dying, it's gonna defend yourself from the teammates in your key. Now, SR is normally, or Shift R is normally like a battle res, or like just, I guess, ordinary res in this case. I also then have Shift E for mind control. No real reason why to do that. Shift D for dispel. Shift C for shackle. It works. There's a sound in it. Shackle, I'll take it. Shift B, because it had to be at that point, and then Shift F for fade, because F for fade. That's how I like to work with these buttons. A lot of the time with these utility things, these additional buttons, I like to work with them by, like, you know, if I can think in my head, oh, I need to fade. Okay, it's either F or it's Shift F, and then, like, yeah, Shift F, okay. And it's reducing the amount of inputs that I have to make, reducing the amount of thoughts that I have to have before I want to press something. Then as well, I normally reserve F and G for movement speed increases, but Shadow Priest doesn't really have any, so I put dispersion there, because I don't know, I thought like maybe that would work out. And then G is like an additional rotation button, but something that you're not pressing very often, so I can kind of just slam it when something's low, and I don't need to look at where it is on the keyboard. Because something to note for me is, where I put the buttons on my keyboard roughly, or on my action bars, roughly where they are on my keyboard. So this button here next to 1 is the furthest to the left, and it's also, like, I think of in my head, it's like above 1. It technically isn't, but like I just think of it as that, as like it's 1, and then to the side. Then X is one that kind of sticks out a little bit, as doesn't really quite make sense. It is in line with that in the keyboard, but it's X is not above 2, but it's like in line with that in the keyboard. Then I have F1, F2, F3 are all in a line. And then if you drop down from F3, the next button really is R, T, Y, all go in a line. And then I kind of default then again onto like Shift, and then whatever the hell that button is next to 1, and then Shift T, and then it kind of like mixes up a little bit. And then yeah, that's kind of like how I have my main action bar. The stuff over here doesn't always necessarily make sense. They're just buttons that are also close by. But yeah, that's how I kind of have my top row and stuff, is I keep it in relation to where everything else is on the keyboard. Then I have up on the right hand side, I have my shadow, what is it? This one, Power Word Shield, that's the one. I have my Power Word Shield, which is also basically my movement speed. If I want to leap or face someone, it's mouse scroll wheel down, because I'm like pulling them towards me, right? I'm going down, it's like they're coming towards me. So I pull them down. If I want to charge something in front of me, then it's mouse scroll wheel forward, because it's like, well, I'm going forward. So that's how I like to think of it. And then I have like Master Spell on an additional mouse button, and Shadow Mend. I always put my heal on a Shift mouse button there, because that for me, I don't know, like I always have my heal there. I have my Regrowth Arrows, my Druid, everything like that. So I always put my heal there. So yeah, those are kind of like my action buttons. Now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here in this video, because I know we've been watching that for a while. But those are kind of like my action buttons and how I have them all set up. I think it's important to kind of have consistency across how you're playing it, and that's how I have it set up, right? In Dragonflight, I'm going to be changing things. So keep an eye on some of those videos in the alpha, because I'm definitely going to be changing those things, and I've already started working on my UI over there. Taking a drink in real life and also in the VOD. Perfectly timed. Having a little bit of coffee, getting it in before stream today. So I then, after that heroic dungeon, decide, right, I'm going to go start sliming a little bit of Zereth Mortis whilst I'm filling up a Mythic Zero group. I realize at this point, oh, I need to slime Mythic Zeros, because if I don't, then I'm going to not get my 4 dungeons done. The clock is ticking, and I'm very, very aware of that. I've already played for 40 minutes at this point in the day. So I've done 1 world boss. I get a Mythic Zero group put together. I'm trying to specifically target people in the group that are like either low item level, because I think this content's easy. Why take somebody who's 370 equipped, not 370, 270 equipped, 290, whatever. Like, why am I going to take somebody like that when I can just take somebody who is like 245, right? Like this rogue, for example. Like, I can just take this guy. Well, I mean, we're already 3 DPS, but I could take somebody like that, 245, because they're probably going to benefit more from this than other people are. And it's not like the content's hard. So it's like, even if they suck, it doesn't matter. So I like to just help people out whenever I can. And you'll probably see that during the course of this challenge, where I'll probably invite people that are maybe, it's going to be like, oh, I don't know if we're going to actually be able to do this. I'm going to give them a shot, and let's see. Because I genuinely just don't think the content's that much of a challenge a lot of the time until you get to the later levels. So it's like, help people out, you know, be nice. Yeah, you can take someone better, but why not make somebody's day and like help somebody else out a little bit? So that's the kind of way I try to be. Now, I'm in this situation where I see this tank. They're like a 3k IO season 3, and I start to think in my head like, maybe I shouldn't take them because maybe they're like arguably too good. But upon reflection, I think this person would have been absolutely fine to take. They're 266 equipped. Their main score last season was 3k IO. They're not exactly like a god, you know? It's not like I'm bringing like now to my key or something like that. So I absolutely could have taken this guy, but I ended up not. And then the rogue in the group is like, yo, take this guy. Like, what are you doing? Take the tank, take the tank. And I had to say to him like, oh, I can't. I'm sorry. And then he calls me a moron, and then he leaves the group. It happened. Yeah, here you go. There's a tank in queue, bro. I know, but legally I can't take them. You're a moron. Okay. So this was really funny, and we were laughing about it on stream. Like, this is the first kind of like bad interaction that I've had. And honestly, it wasn't even that bad. Like, I don't blame the guy for leaving and stuff like that and like calling me a moron. I don't blame him, because like, why, if you're doing a Mythic Zero, tank signs up, like, take them. Like, why are you not taking them? And I didn't take him. And I couldn't give him an excuse as to why, because I couldn't be like, oh, I'm doing a challenge and like, da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? But it definitely was kind of funny. And it just goes to show, like, even in Mythic Zeros and stuff, right? A lot of people like to think that people at the higher end levels of this game are super toxic and, like, everyone else is nice and friendly. It just isn't the case. You get people at this level that are, like, can be super toxic as well. Mythic Zero, the guy's, like, 260 item level, like, no IO, whatever. And he's calling me a moron and shit. Like, people will just jump straight to this stuff. They don't mess around, you know? So I end up taking a couple people here. I end up taking this duo. I think like a Resto Druid Mage duo. Take this Hunter. I see a tank sign up. And I'm like, oh, okay, we can grab him. But then I think this guy. No, it's a Paladin. Yeah, Paladin. Low IO season 1. So last played in season 1. Okay, let me get this guy in. I tried to invite him. The system doesn't let me because the rogue then joins the group. Guys, I have to kick them and try and get a tank in because we have too many DPS at this point. I felt really bad. I could have said something, but at the same time, it's like a Mythic Zero. It's not like the biggest deal to be like, I don't know. It's like not the biggest deal to do that. Anyway, tank signs up again. I find him. I get him invited. I think it's a different tank this time. Yeah, different tank, but I invite one of them. For me, I've been trying to form groups with people that look like they're not gonna be aware of who I am and stuff like that. Like, I'm not the biggest streamer, right? But like, people do recognize me, and a lot of the time on my Feral Druid, that's actually why I'm getting invited to groups, because people recognize me. So for me, it was like, I want to try and make sure that I'm inviting people that are low IM level, maybe haven't played much. Like, I don't want to bring somebody who's like a 4K absolute gamer, because it's just like, I'm trying to do the challenge, right? At the same time, I don't think I need to be as picky as I am, because it's a Mythic 0. It's like nobody, like, this isn't the challenge. The challenge is going to be doing plus 20s, you know? That's where it's all going to come together. So we kind of just start blasting through this Mythic 0, start pulling things in. Again, I'm like now finally starting to get things rolling. I'm trying to use my utility. I can finally get my rotations going on. And I'm trying to go through this rotation where I'm basically mind searing Nightmare, doing 2 ticks of searing Nightmare, and then trying to, well, and then just doing that generally, and then trying to Shadow Word Death as well. And that's what I'm trying to, like, set up Shadow Word Death whenever things are close to death, because I can, like, back to back Shadow Word Death, and it seems to be doing okay damage. Like, I checked my recount or my details at some point, and it's doing, like, pretty decent numbers just to Shadow Word Death. So I'm trying to fit that in. Another thing I'm doing is what I want to do. What I'm thinking in my head is I want to Vampiric Embrace and then Shadow Word Pain. Those are your 2, like, upkeep dots, right? I'm thinking whilst the tank is pulling a bunch of mobs in until everything gets stacked up, that's what I want to be doing. Similar to as Feral, when you're raking whilst the tank is setting everything up, and then once everything's together, that's when you go into your swipe rotation, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to replicate here with Shadow Priest, because it's another dot spec, and it feels very, like, I can associate this spec very much with Feral, and actually, there was another really good comparison I had. Oh, to me, this spec is like Survival Hunter. Both in single target and in AoE. So Survival, for anyone who hasn't played Survival Hunter, you're basically alternating between bomb and kill command. Bomb, kill command. And those are the 2 things that you're kind of alternating. Your kill commands can proc and reset themselves. Your bombs can then get procced by your kill commands being reset. So you're trying to fish for more kill command resets to get you more bombs, which then gets you more bombs. Yada, 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 right? A lot of damage comes out as a result. And you're basically alternating between these 2 abilities big time. And that's kind of how this feels on Shadow Priest, where you're like, you got a couple of the things that you're trying to maintain as well, but you're like mind searing, and then you're searing Nightmare, mind searing Nightmare. And it feels very similar to Survival Hunter. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, if anyone else has brought that up about Shadow Priest, but that's pretty much exactly how it plays. In fact, if the tuning of Mind Seer and Searing Nightmare was the same as it is with Bomb and Kill Command, people would be like, oh my god, Shadow Priest is this insane spec, oh my god, it's so good. Dude, the rotation is so cool. And you'd literally be doing 2 buttons, and people would be like, oh my god, yeah, this is like the best spec. Because that's how it is when your spec does damage, right? So that's something there. But then also, when you're in your Void Eruption, right, like your Void form, Void Erupting and stuff, and you're alternating, so you're Mind Flaying, and then you alternate between hard casting, your, what's it called now? Mind Blast, and your Void Eruption. And you alternate, look, you can see I'm doing it right now, and you just cast your 1, cast 6, cast 1, cast 6, cast 1, cast 6, and that's where you alternate between, which again is also very similar to Survival Hunter in their single target rotation, which is, well, traditionally has been Mongoose Bite or Raptor Strike, and then Kill Command. Mongoose Bite, Kill Command. Mongoose Bite, Kill Command. And you alternate between the 2 for good energy, kind of efficiency, and that's how you kind of maximize your DPS on Survival Hunter. And then on this, it's very similar. Like, you have 2 Mind Blasts that you have, and then you also have your Void Eruption that is going to be resetting as well, and you can alternate between those 2, so that's what you're doing. So again, the spec is very, very similar to Survival Hunter, and that's what I've kind of noticed so far whilst playing it. So that's basically what I'm doing in a lot of these fights. Now, again, I'm like I think at this point, I can't remember my exact item level at this point, but I'm at least, at max, I'm like 205 item level. I think I got a couple of upgrades from Heroic. So I think I'm like 205 item level, maybe. And then these guys are like 250, 260, maybe 240. So not easy to beat them, but you can see here in this pool, right? I'm doing like 9k DPS, pretty good. No tier set, no legendary, nothing like that. It's pretty good. But we can skip ahead with this boss a little bit. I want to try and show the loot. Yeah, there we go. So I'm 207. So I'm 207. I managed to grab a trinket from a world quest. From a heroic dungeon, I managed to get a weapon. I think I got a cloak from somewhere, somehow. I bought a couple 226 pieces of gear, I think, as well, somewhere. No, I haven't bought those. No, so that's my general gear, though, that you can see. And then I'll let you see the loot here that drops. And I'm going to have a bite of my cereal. That's going mushy. Right, so typical, the only thing that drops is a 262 chest, and I already have a 262 chest. So, absolutely cringe. Anyway, big plays that I make, right? Watch this. So we want to skip these mobs. Watch this. Now I have my Mind Soothe on this button here, very awkward to be pressing, so I end up changing the location of it because of how awkward it is to press. But that's going to allow us to basically like skip through. I could also what is it? Soothe. That guy as well. But I don't. And then we end up pulling this anyway because somebody literally runs right through him. So that's fine. But trying to get the utility worked out, I end up putting that Mind Soothe on my shift scroll wheel forward because it wasn't really anything before that. So I end up doing that. I'll skip ahead in this Mythic 0, allow you guys to see the loot. And then we'll jump into some of the Mythic Plus because I know this video is getting on. And I want to show you some of the Mythic Plus and what I end up doing later on in the day and how that goes. Because that's, you know, kind of more premium content. So, I'm going to skip ahead, but I don't want to miss out on any of the loot. I want to show you guys what we get. So, we just get a hunter chest and then nothing for me. Never lucky, dude. This streamer, never lucky. So, we got the High Adjudicator Elise here. See what drops. I always want to show all these drops that are going to happen. Because I think it's exciting. So then a ruby drops. Right now, remember, this is Mythic 0, so everything's 262. Okay? Everything's 262, so that's pretty good. Offhand weapon, really nice. Not great stats. Crit verse, like, okay, I'll take it, but not what I want, necessarily. And, you know what? It didn't even drop for me, so it doesn't matter. So it's like, okay, whatever, cool. And then also, yeah, a ruby drop or an amethyst thing drops. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that it's that good of a trinket, but, like, you know, looks pretty good. So I'm bummed out that I didn't get any loot, but that's alright. And then I'm just trying to pad here a little bit as well. But then something happens. But then, chat, something happens. Sonnenblutemethyst? Sunblood Amethyst, yes, if you don't mind, with speed, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, you don't need it? Yeah, no problem, I'll take that. Thank you. Boom! We get a trinket. 262, lock it in, chat. We're already climbing. We're already blowing up. Nice, that's really awesome. Fantastic. Oh, shit! Mage opens trade, gives me an offhand weapon as well, 262. Your boy's up already. Your boy is up already, 213, I'm leveling bags. Now that's gonna pay back in spades. So I can't put the offhand weapon on yet, that's fine. See what we get from Chamberlain. I die. Oh yeah, I died, but I died because I soaked, and I was too slow to hit my dispersion. Feels bad, man. No biggie. Working our way through this. What do we get? What do we get? What do we get? Any loot? I haven't looted anything yet. Any loot? Any loot? Oh! I get some boots! And then there's a couple rings that drop as well. Hey, anybody not need a ring? Signet of the False Accuser. Yeah, sure, I'll take that. Yeah, you don't need it? No problem. I'll pick up my 4th item this dungeon. With some decent stats on. So, I end up being in this situation. And these guys say, like, where to next, right? So, we're going to go for another one because we want to do these 4 dungeons, but we don't just want to run the same dungeon over and over again. So we decided to do this. I'm now 219 item level. I got a ring, I got boots, I got a offhand, and then I also have a trinket, so pretty good. Now, I end up with these guys, some of them leave, some say, okay, we're going to go do Sanguine Depths Mythic 0, but then I'm aware again of the time. Like, you can see the duration of this VOD, 1 hour, we only play for 3 hours, and I'm aware of the time, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was 1 Mythic 0, I need to get 3 more Mythics done, but also, I want to get some Mythic Plus done. So I end up saying to these guys, actually guys, I'm going to head out, I'm going to go try and hit some Mythic Plus, because I remember my weekly vault. I want to try and get like 4 weekly vaults done as well if I can. So I end up signing up. I got a key from that, the Mythic 0. Fantastic. That's the next step in the stepping stones. I do a workshop +2. Now, for me, I could sign up to other people's keys, and I could probably get into maybe like a +5, maybe a +6, something like that if I'm super lucky. Probably a +4, right? I'm like, oh man, maybe if I get super lucky, I can do this. But I decide that the best way for me to ensure that I'm going to get content, the quickest, is to sign up my own key. Because you know something that's going on with this week? You can see these 3 guys that sign up here. You know what's going on this week? Everyone's Valor farming. Everybody wants +2s for this Valor. A guildie of mine from Honolulu actually signs up, Zanuck, but I have to be like, oh, sorry, dude, I legitimately cannot take you. I get quite a few people actually start signing up from my Battle.net and like from stream and stuff, and I'm like, guys, no, like I can't, I'm sorry, I'm doing a challenge. Like I can't help, right? And so I can't take some of these people, but I'm scouting around. I'm really thinking through like who I want to invite. I look at this Warlock. The Warlock actually looks like they'd be fine to invite. They're probably just doing a bit of Valor farming, so they seem fine. They're like 286 item level, 1500 IO. Doesn't look like it would be like much of a boost or any. Well, I mean, it would obviously be a boost, but it's not like somebody, you know, coming to the stream and being like, hey, sorry, I know you. But I'd end up taking this big damage guy, 248 item level, right? Keep that in mind, 248 item level, and then I'm like, oh, because we're taking a guy who's low item level and stuff like that, all right, I'm going to take this guy, this Souls guy, to kind of bulk up the damage that we're going to maybe be lacking. So I kind of like, yes, I take somebody who's probably going to carry a +2, because it's +2, that's all, you're always going to have people in the group carrying +2. But I'll also take somebody who needs it as well. Somebody who's 248 item level, somebody who, you know, is going to be maybe, like, we're going to be missing damage maybe there. So I decided, yeah, we'll do that. And this is a workshop as well, so I end up changing my build for Misery and Psychic Link, and I can talk about that in a little bit as how I feel like this goes, whether I'd want to change it. I also take Unfurling Darkness, because I think, oh, I can multi-dot with Vampiric and Shadow Word Pain a lot easier if I do that. So I decided to do that. Then I also buy a couple 226 item level pieces as well, just to kind of fill out the remaining slots of my gear. So I grab a couple here. And I grab, yeah, I just grab a couple here. So open up some of these. Nice. So I just gained like, what was I, I was 205 before I started that key. Or like 207 or something before I started that key. Or the Mythic 0. Now, I'm 242. And it was that quick and that easy. I did 1 Mythic 0. I got incredibly lucky with 4 pieces of gear all being traded to me. And then I came and bought a couple 226 pieces with the anima that I found and grinded myself. So, now I'm at 242 item level. That's quite a massive step up. Where I started the day at 191, we're only an hour and 15 minutes into today's gameplay, and I've already gone up 50 item levels. That's huge. That's fantastic. So, yeah, that's what we end up doing. I also buy the conduits. You can buy the conduits to all be like 226. I buy that because, like, why not? I've farmed the item myself. Like, I've got the rep or whatever myself, so it's like, cool. I end up doing some quests here. We're also trying to find a tank. A decent looking tank signs up. I think I go to take them or something, but they end up not grabbing it. So still looking, Oh no, they joined and then I think they leave or something. I don't know. So, you know, it is what it is. It be what it be. We move on. Oh no, actually, no, this is fine. Yeah, we just do the key. Yeah, we do the key. They don't leave. That's fine. Ignore me. So this is a +2. Tank's like 248 I'm level. The Warlock is going to blast. And the healer, I can't actually remember. But we jump into it. Ready check everything. Cool. jump ahead, and then we start this +2. Now, I also end up doing a couple more keys, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this +2. I might just kind of jazz through it, get to the end, and show off a bit of the loot. So, yeah. I think that's more so what I'll do, is I'll probably kind of just show that we're doing it, show how a couple of the, like, I'll show how the first boss goes and stuff in general, and then we can kind of skip ahead and we can check out some of the loot and stuff. Now, I'm trying to watch these guys, these detonators, that are going to be doing their cast, because it's super dangerous, super deadly cast. So I'm trying to be aware of that, trying to interrupt those, trying to stun them, whatever I can do to stop them from going off. Because if those blasts go off, then a lot of the time you can die, especially on higher key levels. But I'm at that point where my damage still isn't like popping off, right? I'm still struggling in parts to get the damage out. And one thing that I do have is I have my awareness of how this stuff works, right? Like how these dungeons work. No mercy here. This is a little tip. If everyone stands where I am now, except for the tank's going to take the platinum pummeler away. But if you stand there, this no mercy charges to this hammer, and then if everybody stands in at the same time, this no mercy takes a big chunk of damage, and they take increased damage per target that stands in that swell. So something that used to happen back in BFA when this was a current dungeon, you could actually put, I think they were like repair hammers, you could put them down and it counted as a target with the way that it was coded. So you could literally 100 to 0. You'd put something like, I've saw people put like 50 hammers underneath the hammer, and it would literally one-shot no mercy on a high tyrannical key. It would just die immediately, and then you just finish off this platinum pummeler. And it was really, really cool. Obviously, very cheesy, very busted, very broken, but you can still do that even just with all 4 players of the group that aren't the tank, right? Everyone can stand over there, and you want to all bait at the same time. So you move out, and then you all move in together, and then the swell forms, and you move out again, right? You do that. Meanwhile, the tank has to move around the room, and they have to drop the stacks on the platinum pummeler. So it has 3 stacks, I believe, and you drag it around the room and let it get smashed by the hammer, and you bait it underneath there as the tank, and then it removes the stacks from it. And that's how you kind of deal with that. Now, I know this is a +2, but I'm also trying to get prepared for strats at high level keys. So I'm like LOSing and stuff, and doing what I can to make the healer's job easier before I then, because like the damage is whatever, but I just want to do the things like mechanically well and get used to it, get warmed up. So I'm doing this. Another top tip as well, there's a weaker on this guy. You can actually position the dog during these venting flames like near the edge of the box. Like if you position them here and then everybody stands here, you can hit and cast on the dog and still be hidden behind the box, because the box actually expands. So there's like there's a hidden, not like a hitbox, but the opposite, right? There's like a hidden amount of space where you can actually attack and not get hit. So quite interesting. Not a lot of people know about that. Oh, well, I mean, I guess a lot of people do, but not a lot of people know how to position it correctly. But there's like a weak aura that you can get in order to do that. Now, this is the most important part of the key. So something that you can do... Actually, this is the second most important part of the key. Something that you can do as a Shadow Priest, and something that I remember whilst I'm doing this... not just Shadow Priest, any Priest, sorry. You can mind control these Tinkerers, right? These Tinkerers are going to cast like a chicken, like a blow-up chicken cast. This anti-personnel squirrel. So that blows up on your group and it will kill you on higher key levels. But what you can do is you can mind control these Tinkerers as a priest, and you can get the squirrel to go and stand in the group like of ads. And then the squirrel, look, I take mind control and then I want to wait for my +2 ability. I cast +2, drop the anti-personnel squirrel, and then I can exit. I can just press escape. I didn't know how to do it at the time, but you can just press escape, leave the little monkey boy, and then the squirrel will explode and kill any dangerous mobs in the pack. So that's a top tip as a priest if you didn't already know about it. And on higher level keys, priests can actually like top damage on this stuff because of that, because of those squirrels. So it's huge, huge damage. Now this is the most important part of the key. This is the most important part. I mean, watch Daddy go to work, okay? Watch me go, watch me go. Don't worry about everybody else. Daddy's coming, all right? Shadow Priest Psy. No movement speed whatsoever. Let's go. So I always go through the middle here. Then it comes down here. You're super safe. Then you wait for this robot to go back. And then you can go and stand on this vent. But what you can also do is you can just slip around the corner. Just slip around the corner if you're fast. So I wait and you go... Have to hard hug it and you have to go immediately. Otherwise, you don't get through. And that's like the quickest way to do it. Obviously, I don't have any speed increases. So that was like my quickest way as a priest. And that's like the best way to do it. Of course, if you have soul shape and stuff as well, that also really helps. But yeah, so kind of blast through some of these bosses. Just waiting. Oh, we end up waiting a long time for our priest to get through. Waiting. I've skipped ahead like 40 seconds. Still waiting. Still waiting. Here they come. Here they come. Yay! We got it. Good job, gamers. So we're going through. I'll skip all the way to the end now because we want to see the shmamage. This, again, you can take mind control these guys and you can do the same. You can see I do it here. I got to wait a few seconds. So I'm doing some Giga Wallops. Drop the squirrel down. And then I exit the machine. And then the squirrel is about to explode. Doesn't do any damage. It did a decent amount, I think. On a +2, it's kind of like... It scales with the key level, right? So higher key levels, it actually does more. I believe, anyway. So we do that. Go on to the last boss. Nothing really too crazy kooky to talk about on this guy. I always try and bait on the side, but, you know, it be what it be. Kill King Mechagon, and what do we get? Any loot? I cannot actually remember if we get any loot or not. Let's find out. 68 IO, though. Our first key, guys. Our first key of the challenge. And, oh yeah, I remember now. I immediately get a 262 weapon, main hand, with Leech, which means I can now equip my 262 offhand as well. I mean, this is just incredible streamer luck, right? Like, I can't really say anything else. This is an incredible streamer luck. This is what I get, and... You know, I'll take it. So, I think... No, that guy already... Yeah, that guy needs the ring, so I don't even bother hanging around. Now, those guys end up just leaving the key pretty immediately. So, it's, like, not even worth me trying to be like, oh, hey, you want to go to the next key? The big thing I'm going to do in this challenge as a Shadow Priest, because I know it's going to be hard to climb, is if we have a successful group, I'm going to say to people, do you want to do the next key? It's going to be the best way to try and get people to... Or try and... get the best chances of improving your key is to try and play with the same people and same people. So what I do here is I go and do this world boss because I'm aware that I want to get this killed. So we killed this guy. Do we get any loot? 10%, 1%, 1%. We don't get any loot. Unfortunate. Because this would have been a 260 piece or something like that. And then on the other world boss, we would have gotten a 280 piece, but... Or a 285. Unluckily, we don't get it. Now, this redemption guy, I've just realized now, signs up to the key, and then I cancel the key, and then he signs up to my key again after the world boss, and he's the first person. I have a feeling that they were probably watching the stream, but at the end of the day, there's only so much I can do. It's a bit whatever. I end up taking them, I think, because they say that they can tank, so I'm like, okay, cool, come tank. I grab a couple gamers who are, you know, not super high item level, I don't think. And we go to Iron Docks +5. I think when we eventually get there. Yeah, so we go to Iron Docks +5, and again, I won't show off tons of this dungeon because there's another dungeon coming, so I'll watch more so of that dungeon. But we work our way through this. We have Sanguine now. Sanguine's something that we have to keep aware of. This in general is quite a rough key, and I think... Do I play... Yeah, okay, so I'm playing Misery and Psychic Link on this dungeon. And the reason I want to play Psychic Link and Misery on this dungeon is... One moment. Okay, that's fine. I thought I had an Amazon delivery. Definitely not cutting that from the VOD. That's fine. Okay, so sponsored by Amazon, by the way. Or something. I don't know, Twitch Prime, something like that. So the reason I play Psychic Link and Misery on this dungeon is because this is a very heavy cleave boss dungeon. Now, it doesn't matter on a +5, and it's Fortified Week. It really doesn't matter. But I'm trying to test things out now so that when I get into a higher level key, I already kind of know what's up. So this first boss splits into 2, and you really want to kill the wolf, so it's this 2-target cleave. Then you go on to the second boss, and it's a 3-target cleave. The third boss technically has adds intermittently, so it's kind of got some cleave elements to it. And then the final boss has one ad that you start the fight with, and then a second ad comes out later on in the fight. So it's 2 sets of cleave during the last boss. So very, very cleave heavy. And I think, oh, I'll do this. I'll do my Mind Blasts, and that'll be really, really good, like, boss damage. So I decided to do that. But I think upon reflection, I would maybe only do that on Tyrannical Week. On Fortified, I think it's still worth going for Searing Nightmare. Just because how long trash takes, how much trash there is, it's just worthwhile to do that. So I end up throwing a couple stars here, going through the rest of the key, trying to think if anything kind of sticks out to me at all, anything interesting. Nothing too crazy. Like, we just play it out clean. Really important thing to note on this next boss, actually. I'm using these videos as like a way to show off the challenge, but also teach people things. So this Ari Okdogru, right? The caster. They cast a bunch of stuff. You just want to interrupt it. It hits pretty hard, I guess, on Tyrannical eventually. So you just want to interrupt it and have an interrupt rotation go through that. That's cool. Eventually, though, she will do a cast that is uninterruptible. And it puts a shield on her. And if you break that shield, like if you keep damaging her and you break the shield, she heals. And she heals back like 15%. This one, Sanguine Sphere. So you see, she puts a big chunky shield on herself. And you DPS through it, right? And I think people are going to kill it. I switch target. You want to switch target. So when this breaks here before the timer runs out, look, she's at 12% health, 17%, 19, 22. Goes up and up, right? And obviously we're damaging through it the whole time. So it's actually a bigger heal than it would have been at 22%. She probably would have healed to about 26%, something like that. So a good like 12% heal, 10% heal, something like that. So you don't want to break that shield. On this key level, it actually just doesn't matter because you can out DPS it, so it's whatever. But on higher level keys, you literally can just lose minutes, like whole minutes on this fight because you're doing that. So make sure that when she pops the shield up, you stop DPSing. If you can kind of predict and let your dots and your dots and bleeds and stuff fall off, then that's good. That's what you want to be doing, so that you can reduce the chances that you're going to break that shield. Now we go through to the end boss. Let's see some of the loot. Let's see the loot. Oshia there, nothing too crazy. Koromar, you want to focus down. He does, like, the guy in the cannon does a shit ton of AoE cleave. Like, look, shit ton of AoE damage targets a player. If you're in melee, it'll just radiate damage to everybody around you. It's a shit ton of damage. So you want to kill Koromar as soon as possible to summon the second guy out of the turret. So that way, you're reducing the amount of AoE damage that's ticking on the group. At this key level, it doesn't really matter too much. And that's all good. Let's see what loot we get. So +5, my second key. I went from a Mythic 0, got my +2, come to a +5. Oh, unlucky, no loot. But we gained 95 IO, so we're on the board now. And I immediately say, go for the +7. Now, a couple of the guys go, yeah, let's do that. A couple of the guys, nah, they're good. But it's the Streets of Wonder. So, tank's interested. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so nothing dropped that I could actually get, that I actually needed. So everyone decides to stay except for the healer here. And I go, okay, let's go for the +7. Let's go for the streets. And that's what we opt to do. And this is the best way that you're going to increase your key. I'm 244 item level. Do you think there's any world where I get invited to a +7? Of course not. Absolutely, of course not. But you know what? When it's my key, I do get invited. Because I set the group. And I decide how to play it out. So this key here, we can kind of go through. Maybe if there's anything of importance, I'll kind of slow it down and stuff. But I already kind of spoke through some stuff today on what I'm trying to do with my build. I end up going for Searing Nightmare. Please tell me I go Searing Nightmare. I don't think I do. Maybe wait. Please tell me I go Searing Nightmare in this key. Fleshcraft, should have done that before the key started. Oh no. Okay, I'm Psychic Link and Misery again. I think I genuinely forgot to change over. I think I remember doing this dungeon and talking about it in the key and going, oh, I forgot. Because there's no, like, cleave boss fights. So if there's no cleave boss fights, then I don't really care about Misery and Psychic Link. Because I'm just going to do 100% damage of my Mind Blast anyway. Interesting thing here. I'm greeting a little bit with range. Like, look at this, right? This bomb comes down. I can see it's there. I don't move from it. I move from it late. And then I actually move out in time, and then I move back into it. Then the pulse comes in from the mob. I would have been dead here if this was a higher level key. Like, if that was like a plus 20, I would have been dead. 100%. Well, the bomb would have killed me. So it wouldn't have even been a discussion. I would have been absolutely dead. So I'm trying to learn not to greed. I'm also trying to immediately see things. Like, I'm paying attention to stuff on my screen, right? I want this plus 7 timed. I want this done. So I'm gonna do. I don't care about the damage. We're not gonna deplete this key on damage. We have 40 minutes to do a plus 7 key. Not depleting on damage. Now, what I want to do is be interrupting. I'm looking for the cast, like the stasis beam, for example, that's gonna stun somebody. Trying to prevent that. I'm gonna try and soothe these mobs when I can. Like, they've got a haste buff on them. They're enraged. I'm gonna soothe that. These support officers have this like shield that does some. I think it does like damage to anybody who attacks them or around them or something like that. That can be quite heavy hitting in higher level keys for your tanks. So immediately I'm doing my Shift B, whatever it is, my Magic Dispel. I'm doing that. You can also do Mass Dispel as well. That works too. So I'm trying to do these things because I don't really care about my damage. Like, I'm going to get hard carried on damage here, and that's totally fine. Like, this challenge was not about not getting carried. It was about not getting carried by people that know the stream and know the challenge and everything like that, right? Of course you're going to get carried if you're doing your own plus 5 key, plus 7 key, until you get, you know, if I was 275 item level, and I was 2 legendaries, I was 4 tier set, I had everything going on, I was like potting and flasking and stuff, and I'm still getting carried on DPS, then I just hard suck at this game. But in this situation at 240 item level, I know I'm going to get carried. That's okay. That's fine, because it's my key. I'm supplying the key, they supply the damage and stuff. So that's what we're doing here. Now, in general, nothing is too deadly in this key. Nothing's too crazy, so you don't have to be like too stressing out. I'm actually doing overkill there. And there's a point in the dungeon where I realize I'm like dispelling these haste buffs and stuff on these mobs, and it just doesn't matter. The tank's fine, like everything's fine. So I decided at a point where I'm like, right, I'm going to just like DPS and then just deal with the most obvious things that I can, and not stress out about having to deal with every single little mechanic that needs to be done. I'm just going to focus mostly on trying to like do a good rotation and stuff. And I even looked at Master Spell there. Like, look, everyone's got this magic debuff, which is slowing them. People in melee trying to move through these things. So I decide, right, here's a big Master Spell for the whole team, and I get it on everyone except the rogue had like moved weirdly, so I missed them. But I get it on the whole team. Everyone's Master Spelled. That's awesome. That helps everybody out. They can move more freely now and stop struggling. This boss was really annoying as a ranged, I found, because the shield was constantly turning, and it's so awkward to be casting this far away. So there are a lot of times where I'm like running into melee just so I can actually DPS. Like, look, I'm having to work around here. Oh, and then the shield comes up, and I gotta do this, and then my weapon gets thrown, and then I gotta run out again in the opposite direction. So this boss is actually really uncomfortable for range, and there are environments, I will agree, there are environments with range where it's really awkward to deal with certain mechanics and stuff. I'll get that, but it's not like this is a dangerous mechanic to have to deal with. This is just a nuisance more than anything. So we go through most of the key. I'm aware this video has been quite long, so I'll kind of skip through some of this. This is my 3rd Mythic Plus dungeon. We plus 3 at the 2 we 3 chests at the plus 2. We 2 chests at the plus 5. It is very close to a 3 chest. So now we got the 7 key. And we're on track to like do decently well. We're not going to 3 chest it or anything like that. But can we? In fact, I'm actually just going to kind of skip further on into this key because I think it's okay. Like, we've shown a lot of gameplay today. I think it's okay not to show off like too much more. You guys already know streets. We've spoken a lot about streets. Oh, I think, do I try and be the guy? No. Okay, somebody else picks up the item, the tank here, so I just trust in the tank. I'll always try and be the guy to do the thing that needs to be done. If there's a job that needs to get done in Mythic Plus, always try and be that guy. If you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, let people know you don't know how to do it, and that's fine. But go and find out how to do it after the key is over, right? Like, if you don't know how this event works, go and learn it. Go YouTube, how does, you know, Tazavesh, Streets of Wonder, what? Event, how do, right? Go and find out how these things work and operate, because it's very important to be able to do this stuff. There might be a situation where somebody in your group goes, yo, can you do this? and you go, oh, no, I can't. And they go, oh, we need somebody who can or something. Or it's just like, if you can come and do this event and absolutely slam through it, then people are going to be like, oh, yes, like, nice. This guy was sick, dude. Did you see how fast he did that event? Yo, we almost depleted the key by 5 seconds. But no, we timed it by 5 seconds because this guy was so quick with the event. Like, nice, every little bit counts. And awesome, this guy, like, killed it. You want to give, like, a positive impression on people and leave them thinking about you positively and in a positive light. So super important to do that. Yeah, kind of skipping through everything now just till the end. Go on to the last boss. So this was like my review of day 2. This was everything after that. Like, I think after that was pretty much it. I end up only getting 3 dungeons this week. I'm gonna try, today's Tuesday that I'm uploading this video, I'm gonna try and maybe do like 1 more +2 or something, just so I have 2 pieces of loot to choose from. But I'll be honest, I got a +7 key. Whatever this +7 loot is, I'm going to be taking it because it's going to be the best long-term investment for my character. So whatever this is, I'm going to take it. So I don't think I even care about doing more than that. And I've got other characters to play, right? I got my Feral, I got my Survival, I got Enhanced and stuff to try and get dungeons on. So I'm not going to prio too much time on this character compared to my mains. But day 2, everything in review. We would start out at 191 item level. After this key, we'll kind of check in and see where we're at. Start at 191. We did a little bit of Zereth Mortis questing, just kind of starting on that, doing that in between, finding keys, trying to do it at our own pace, trying to prioritize item level over everything, because the more item level I have, the easier doing any content is, from getting into Mythic Plus dungeons to getting, which gives me more Valor, which means I can upgrade more loot, right? Also, I get Cosmic Flux, right? It's a way to farm that. So just getting into groups is super important. It also makes Torghast way easier because you have more item level, which means levels are just easier to do. I open the vault. What do I get? What do I get? Okay, I don't get anything from the +7, but that's okay. We got a lot of loot today. We got lucky, and that's 120 IO on the board as well. Nothing really worth here trading, but 275 loot here on the board. So getting into these +7s, really, really good. If I can upgrade 190 item level pieces to 275, that's absolutely huge. So a good week 2, a good day 2, really enjoying playing Shadow Priest. And in fact, like, when I was doing this day 2, I was jumping into the Mythic 0, I was jumping into the +2 and stuff, just like, oh my god, this is so fun to play. I actually am just really enjoying it. I don't know if it's a combination of the challenge, it being a new spec for me, trying to master it, watching my item level increase and feeling more powerful. All these combinations, all these factors are contributing to me just feeling a way better. Oh, we have the 291 loot as well. Okay, we have the 291 loot. Trying to remember what I got. I think I know, but I'm not going to spoil it. So I'm looking. Obviously, I just want like a tiered piece. I just want a tiered piece at this point. Forget weapons, trinkets, stuff like that. Just give me a tier piece, 291. See what we get. What can we get? Anything we get, it's going to be an upgrade. Doesn't matter what slot it is. It's 100% guaranteed upgrade, which is always great. Da, 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 da. And we got a cloak, which is great. Good stats, right? Great. But I can't do anything with it. It's not a tier piece. So I can't do anything with it. So it's like, ah, this is really good. But okay. In fact, actually, even a tier piece at 291, I wouldn't be able to upgrade it any further. So maybe I wouldn't even want it. Well, no, because it would be good for now. Like, just like as a start, right? Even at 291, just to start with. But no. So we replace a cloak there. So I think we end the day at 247.68 item level. And that's it all. That's it all done. That's the whole of day 2. I hope you guys enjoyed watching some of this. And thank you so much for checking it out. Don't forget, I'm live doing these on Fridays. Twitch.tv/Psybear_TV, link in the description. Go check out week 1 if you haven't checked it out. And look forward to week 3 coming up very soon. It'll be this Friday. So today's Tuesday, the 16th. It'll be coming up on this Friday. I'll be doing episode 3. So chilling in the evening, doing that. Come check it out. Come hang out. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can get up to 270 item level on Friday. All right, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.